Welcome Taurus, your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 20th of May for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. We need to be mindful of your ruler Venus, and Venus is very close to Jupiter, the planet of fortune. But did you know that Venus is also a planet of fortune? It's called the lesser benefit. But it doesn't mean to say that Venus can't be lucky. Venus can be a bit extravagant, but back in your sign, it's been providing some welcome reassurance, particularly in terms of your attractiveness. And at the start of this week, you could be feeling absolutely stunning, and I really hope you will. Because the Sun is just preparing to leave your sign, but being so close to Jupiter, this is a very affirming, self-confident combination. Because Venus can be very much to do with our appearance, that collective also linking back to your sector of friendship. Neptune there could mean that somebody that you're friendly with is also proving a very encouraging person, someone who gets you not just in terms of what makes you dazzlingly gorgeous, but also understands you at a spiritual level. It's an energetic exchange that works for you. Just be aware, however, that Mars does continue in your 12th house, and it is very close to the North Node as this week begins. If there is something from your past or something that hasn't quite been resolved, is still niggling away, at times this could steal your peace of mind. Also, Mercury in your sign is clashing with Pluto. If you do need to deal with an important figure this week, such as a boss, someone through some kind of authority or governmental department, an advisor, you need to make sure that you've got all the detail in that they may require absolutely spot on, or they can scrutinize things in quite an unkind way, and you may feel the dominance of their power and actually feel a little bit oppressed by it. So because there's such a lot of glittering energy there at the start of this week around your self-confidence, I don't necessarily think it's the best week to be exposing yourself to the heavy weather parts of life. So if you can, focus on what you want to do creatively, passionately, that really helps to express your talent, your flair and your magnificence, and leave the interactions with the more formal, traditional types to another time. That's probably a smart thing to do. But as the week goes on Tuesday, the Sun moves from your sign into Gemini, and ironically, the Sun in Gemini has a flavour of your sign because it's your second house. So it's about values, it's about money, but it's about self-worth. But it links in a much more constructive way to Pluto. If there is something you've been working on, it doesn't necessarily have to be just recently. It could have been over the last year. It may have been over the last 5 years or 6 years since Uranus first burst into your sign. But if there is something that means an awful lot to you and you've put so much of yourself into it, you could start to see real signs of material progress. It's just that I wouldn't have an unnecessary conversation this week with someone who you don't know, who could be a little bit negative to what you have to offer. But if there's someone in the know that you have a fluid dialogue with, who's been watching how you've been evolving, or perhaps you're connecting through your public interactions with people, people can start to see there's something about you that's very alluring and very attractive. And that's ramped up on Thursday when Venus, your ruler, moves into Gemini, which of course is a flirty host. But Venus in the second house can bring some kind of financial breakthrough, particularly as it will be angling up to Pluto as well, exactly by Saturday. We have a full moon, however, later on Thursday. If something is out of balance in terms of the ins and outs of your financial situation, you may need to think again. And because Pluto is informing this particular full moon in such a powerful way, some Taurus people may think of changing their job. But I feel if you're someone who's working in your own business or your own interest, that's where you can really flourish. But if you are in an environment where you don't really feel that you can be particularly creative or show your flair, that's when you might start to think, well, however much I'm paid, do I actually get much from this? So your sense of value and appreciation of in the business or environment you work in, just as important as the talent and flair that you're investing too. But Jupiter, the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius, also moves into your second house as this week draws to a close on Saturday. But it's going to be there for the next year. Jupiter is technically debilitated in the sign of Gemini, but I like to challenge these essential dignities. It's going to be there for the next 12 months and more, through to the 9th of June 2025. If you really apply yourself, Jupiter will give you a reward. It's when we take our foot off the proverbial gas and just assume that everything will work out well simply because Jupiter's in the mix, because it can trick us into being somewhat overconfident. But the combination of energy of the Sun, Venus and Jupiter all being in your second house and also angling up to Pluto, the planet of power, in the part of your situation where you can connect with the wider world, could bring some serious progress materially. And I think the full moon is just saying that if you were offered a particular position and it did appeal to you and the financial package is very attractive, just check things out in terms of your personal values. Would you be validated? Would you be appreciated? It's not just about the money, it's also about the creativity, because the creativity that you've been developing with the help of Uranus and the help of Pluto in recent years is not something you're going to want to blunt now. And that's really the message at the start of this week. Stay with what makes you glorious, Taurus. And if you can stay in touch with that, but also be prepared to flex. And of course, the sign of Gemini is a mutable sign. So don't necessarily demand everything on your own terms, but if you can flex a bit, the rewards can come through. But make sure that you don't give your personal skills to a situation that may enrich you financially, but wouldn't in terms of a soul exchange. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Have a great week, and if you've yet to do so, please subscribe to my channel.